Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Networking Beat, news and information you can use to help you make more sales in the online virtual business networking industry. I'm delighted to have my guest today, Ted Lee, the dynamic co-founder of a platform called Blitzr, which is automated speed networking. It's one of the great ways to network in the online virtual business industry. And Ted, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Mike. Pleasure to be here.
Ted's become my friend because we have networked over the years. He's been to my events and I've used Blitzr for a long time. We've gotten to know each other. And really, Ted, isn't that the key to networking? You know, we didn't come on like just a pitch fest and like dueling pitches. That's not the way to look at networking. You and I both learned kind of what to do and what not to do in networking. So let's talk a little bit about that. What advice can you give to a networking audience of kind of how to approach networking and really what to do and what not to do?
Sure. Hey, first and foremost, I want to point out you and I have never met each other in person. We have only met each other online, and I consider you a friend.
Well, you know what? We've loved each other. We fought too. We've been through thick and thin together, and
that's why I consider you a friend.
We're absolutely. We've been through it together, and we're still here, right?
Right. We've had that relationship, and that is the key to networking. I have never sold you anything. You have never sold me anything. We may have tried to sell each other ideas of, hey, let's think of this, let's do this. But that's collaboration, that's friendship, that's partnership. And I wouldn't know that I hadn't met you in person with the relationship I've built with you. And that to me is the key to networking. That you come into this thinking, I'm going to meet someone who I can add value to their life and they can add value to my life, and not what can I get from this person? What can they buy from me? It really has to be like a mutual friendship and a marriage. If you go into networking like you would in a social or dating situation or whatever that activity might be that you like to do, and not, are you going to buy my stuff?
You know, some people don't realize they have their own best interests at heart, of course, but they don't realize how many people they are turning off. Some come on like a guy in a bus station with a trench coat full of watches, just trying to pitch people. And it's just not the way to do it. It's not, it turns everybody off. Nobody likes it. And you really have to go in and be a good listener. How important is listening to the other person, being willing and patient enough to make what they have to say interesting and important enough to you that you pay attention and listen?
Well, think about it. If networking is a lot like friendship and a lot of relationship building, no one wants to be in a relationship where they sit there and listen to the other person talking to them the whole time, right? You have to listen. It's a conversation. This is how we built Blitzr. We built Blitzr as a conversation platform because we felt Zoom was a talk at you platform. Now, look, there's been a lot of ways that people have improved the workflow, the functionality, and how to network on Zoom. And I'm not saying that's not a great way to network. But what I am saying is that there's a conversation that needs to take place, and conversational is bidirectional. It needs to be active listening and then active participation and response. It is one of the great reasons why we think that one-on-one or even small groups, because there's facial cues in conversation. There are body language. There's, when you're networking and you're networking for business, how you present yourself, not your appearance, right? Like we have what we have, but how you present yourself, how you interact with other people, what language you use. This is highly important in a networking relationship that you're building, and listening is absolutely key to that.
Now we're going to get to address follow-up networking events in just a second with the built-in part of Blitzr, but let me talk a little bit about the mindset. To me, that's the most important thing. I've been able to attract every single thing that I really wanted in my life from having the really mindset of attraction and how to manifest sales. And it's worked over the years. I think if you go into it with the attitude of how to win friends and influence people, not hard sell, but we should be building what I call friends in commerce. Now, you're 3,000 miles away from me, okay? But we have kept up the conversation over years now because of our interest in helping people do commerce online. So let's talk a little bit about networking and commerce. What I kind of look at it as the new social retailing, actually. And with that approach of building relationships like you open a store, you're persistent, you stick with it.
So great question. I was having a conversation with someone I met through networking, never met him in person. His name is Al Wagner, and he's a fantastic networking group host. And he gave me, he put into words what a lot of us feel. And he said when he goes to his online or his in-person networking events that he's hosting, he says, by a show of hands, how many people came here to buy something today to this networking event? And people chuckle. They look at your reaction. You laugh, you giggle, and you laugh because you're like, no one goes to a networking event like, I cannot wait to buy something today, right? So then he says the next question is, how many of you came here to try to sell something today, right? And no one's going to raise their hand. But guess what? They all came there thinking they were going to sell something today, but no one is going to buy something. So if that's the way that we're entering into a networking environment from which we want to derive commerce, right, and sell something, right, then we have to change our mindset. We have to change the way that we approach the meeting, the networking. And it's not just the meeting, it is the meetings. You and I have built a relationship over a course of 2 years together. Yeah. I did business. I had a bio written for me for a board seat that I was up for recently. And I met the woman who did my bio on Blitzr. She never once pitched me. I met her every week, or, on and off. Maybe we were matched, maybe we weren't. And it dawned on me when I needed to present a bio, hey, I'm going to go to Betty, who I've been speaking with over the course of 1.5 years. She got business, not because she sold me. She got business because she was present. She had a mindset of abundance and of attraction, not promotion. And here we go. And now I've referred her to 3 other people. So that is the shift in mindset of from selling to I'm here to build long-term relationships.
You mentioned the word attraction. And when you go in with the attitude of service, how can I help this person by serving them? I think that is really one of the keys. And one of the things that to me is kind of like having glasses. Like I'm wearing glasses. I can't actually see my glasses. I'm wearing them, but they're right in front of my face. But that to me is the mystery of networking, that people don't really see that networking is the place they have instant common ground with everybody else that they are networking with. If you want to build a relationship, I don't care if you're a financial planner, whoever you are, the one thing that you have in common with everybody else that you meet in a networking event is networking. So if you go and you talk about, hey, I see you're at a networking event. You like networking. I like networking. I'd like to get to know you better. I've got this great networking event that I go to on a regular basis. I'd love to invite you. Now, right then, you're not getting rejected. You're not pitching. You're offering service, a help, something you know they're interested in. But why in the world aren't more people talking about networking and sharing what they learn in networking? That to me is the most obvious thing to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I listened to an interview that you did actually with the CEO of Meetup, David Siegel, I think his name is. And you spoke of that. You said, look, if you go to a fishing convention, you're going to talk about fishing. You're not going to go try to sell your whatever product you're selling. You're going to talk about fishing. When you're at a networking event, talk about networking. And look, you can talk about events that you've gone to that have been successful, the types of events that are successful, the types you like and why. And that's how you build a relationship, because someone can maybe give you their opinion and give you a different way of looking at something and say, I haven't tried Meetup. I haven't tried one of those Eventbrite ones. I haven't tried something on Blitzr or a Zoom event. I hadn't been to a successful array of faces Zoom until I had been to one that was run by you or by some people that really know how to execute small groups on Zoom. And so I think approaching it with an open mind and the willingness to listen, as you say, and really learn from people. The other thing is, like you said, how can I be of service to you? I always like to, once I know what someone is doing, is say, let me think through my network, right? Not other people I know that sell stuff, right? Let me think through my network that may be of help to you. Not that could buy your stuff, right? But you may be helpful to them. You should have a conversation with them. They may be of help to you because they have an audience that pertains to what you are trying to sell. Let me connect you. And that is where I've found the most successful networkers are and who I want to associate myself with. I heard the other day, another interesting little snippet is a lot of people who quote unquote network, which is really meaning the people that want to come sell you. A lot of people who network a lot are not people with whom you want to network with a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's if you're in that selling mindset and you're around a bunch of people in the selling mindset. If you're in a networking mindset and you associate yourself with that, you attract more people who are in a networking mindset, who introduce you to more people who are in a networking mindset, and it starts to build. This is that building of, I know you like to talk about the abundance mindset, and anything that you believe you can manifest and it will come. If you believe you are a good networker and a true networker, you can be a great salesperson. You can believe you're a great salesperson. You just don't need to pitch that you're a great salesperson at your networking events.
Yeah, a couple of things on that. One, I was trained at NBC in New York to be a documentarian, and I was trained to be super aggressive. I mean, that's how I land interviews with people like Ted Lee and David Siegel, is I go after things that I think are really important, but I don't think that works in networking, to tell you the truth. I think it's the polar opposite of what you should do. So I had to learn a whole new skill set about how to win friends and influence people and really bring that service mindset back to the forefront in networking events. So that's one thing that I think I had to learn to adjust to the new environment of networking, put my old skill set aside. I still use it, but not in networking events. If you're selling something, do you really think in your common sense, honestly, that you're actually going to make the sale in 1 or 2 minutes? Do you really believe that? Because if you do, you're in wishful thinking land, but it's not going to happen. So don't try. Why try to do what is virtually impossible in most cases? And I want you to think about that, folks. Just use your own common sense. Just don't do something that in your own common sense doesn't make sense. It will make you uncomfortable. You'll try too hard. You'll be overreaching. You won't do a good job. Relax. Have more fun with it. You'll get there, but you can't jump to the top of the mountain or to the top of the ladder. You have to take it one step at a time, knowing you will get there. Knowing we're talking about common sense, then what do? So you use speed networking to meet someone, and then you start to build the relationship, ideally inviting them to other networking events, and you start to climb up those ladders, getting some trust and confidence with each other. And then you continue with the follow-up. So that really, to me, your fortune's in the follow-up, your future's in the follow-up, and your ultimate success at the top of the ladder, the top of the mountain, whatever you're trying to climb, is in the ultimate end game of getting the sale by building trust. So tell me a little bit about the importance of the common sense of following up and the built-in tool that you have in Blitzr.
Yeah, I think it has to go with mindset. So if you are shifting your view of networking to a relationship view, I'm building relationships, I'm having conversations, I'm listening to people and they're listening to me, you shift away from transactional. And if you are following up with people, it's in the interest of the relationship, of getting to know the person better and seeing how you can help them, be of service to them, or how, yes, they can be of service to you by building a relationship. That's what relationships are. They're mutually beneficial to each other. And so that way, when a transaction takes place between the two of you, it won't even feel transactional. It will feel like I'm doing this because I have a relationship with Mike. I want to help him out. He's a friend of mine. And this actually happened with another very good friend of mine on Blitzr. I have since met him 2 or 3 times in person. We developed a relationship through networking and learned about each other, learned what our expertise was, all of these things. I ended up getting him placed at a 6-month gig. He's actually in the entertainment world, and I got him placed as a spokesperson for a company for a 6-month gig out of my trying to help him as a friend. He never said, boy, it was really great that you sold me or bought me or did something. I did that for him as a friend of mine because I met them through networking, and they've done the same for me. So this is, I think, changing from transactional, right? A transactional mindset to the service mindset, like you said, the follow-up doesn't seem like work. It doesn't seem like a task or an activity that I mark in a CRM, which you may do at the beginning and you may track it that way, but it becomes less of, I need to be reminded to call Mike Hayes today because my CRM calls him, as a, you know what, I need to call Mike today. I really want to talk to Mike. I'm really excited to talk to Mike today. We need to finish our conversation.
That's great. I appreciate that. And I know that's absolutely the truth. Now, tell me a little bit about Blitzr in terms of resources and that helpful mindset. One of my thoughts, because I covered 1 to 3 media marketing trade shows every month for 15 years. So I really understand that kind of expo of resources. And that was one idea I had about Blitzr that I kind of want to talk to you about. And it's a conversation I had with David Siegel of Zoom about the need for resources for meetup organizers. So I was thinking, gee, I think we could gather a lot of resources together and have some really, kind of vetted, the best resources. Like I help Fiverr, who have resources that are vetted and rated, grow a community of 10,000 independent contractors. And I thought, gee, that could be a great place for people who need resources to meet a kind of a specialized event on Blitzr that people could, for example, maybe help grow meetup groups. So any thoughts on specializing some networking events?
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, we've built a lot of functionality and tools to help people follow up, to help people interact with each other. If you don't take the right mindset into it, it doesn't really matter, right? You can build the greatest software in the world, and you can build great flow into it. But if people don't want to use it or don't show up, then you can't. But we have built groups technology to enable group leaders to communicate with each other, to set up other groups, to meet with them, to have their groups meet with themselves, and then they can form spin-off groups. We're not there to replace the mighty networks or the Alignables of the world or whatever these other group managers are. However, we're trying to provide people a place where they can communicate with each other around common interests, around networking, and set up specialized types of events to attract more people who want to network with each other in a true networking fashion. So that's how we've designed our system and designed the interaction amongst people to facilitate that.
Ted, I always say to people, you cannot learn how to do professional level networking at networking events. It can't be done. You're going there to network, not to learn how to do it properly. So people don't understand the importance of studying it and learning about it and really getting to know the industry and how to do it right. At a networking event is the tip of the iceberg. You're networking before you go, during and after the networking event. And a lot of people don't understand that and are struggling. So what advice can you give to people that want to make more money, want to make sales, want to promote a product, want to learn about how best to promote a product? For example, just to do an aside, David Siegel told me that that's where Rich Dad, Poor Dad developed his concept by doing meetups. And the fellow who developed Coinbase, he used Meetup to get feedback. So there's so much that you can get out of networking events. There's so much more to it, but there's a lot more to learn than people really understand as well, right?
Yeah, I think what you have to do is apply common sense and real physical world. Well, whether you're going in person or online, you need to recognize that, look, if I show up to a large networking event, like you said, this is the tip of the iceberg. That's the place where you may meet people. If you're in a poorly run networking event online, you will be in an array of faces and no one's going to remember you, right? Even if you get your 15 seconds to 3 minutes of fame by being up on a platform. What you need to do is follow up. You need to build relationships. It's how everything happens. You go to a large event. If you're walking around a conference hall, you will be in a large room. You'll hear someone speak. And then what do? You go get a cup of coffee. You grab the donuts, the piece of fruit, and you say, oh, hey, Bob, where are you from? Hey, Sally, right? Oh, what do you do? That's built at the one-on-one level. That's built at the follow-up level, right? And you're building a relationship. If you don't come, the advice that I would give is don't go through the motions and think because you're showing up to 10 networking events a month, because you're there, that things will happen. You have to be an active participant in your own networking and relationship building. Don't be passive and think that showing up is the activity. It is participation. that is the activity. And that has to do with, being present and active in everything you do in life, but especially in your relationship building as you try to affect your commerce relationships.
Ted, this is such refreshing truth and common sense to hear from someone who is in the networking industry. There is so much messaging from the networking industry that all you have to do is go to more networking events. That's the cure all for everything. Just go to more events, our events, attend. That's not the truth. If it was that easy, everybody would be rich. There is a lot, because there's a lot of free networking events to attend, but there is a lot more to it. And that's what I try to communicate. And it's so refreshing because the industry is really kind of full of it sometimes about just go to more networking events. And that's what I'm trying to educate people about. Networking events are wonderful, but they are part of the equation. It's so nice to hear that truth and that common sense from you. So thank you.
Hey, I want to add one thing to this. You may even say, well, look, this is difficult for me because I'm an introvert, or, I just don't do it. Well, there are ways for even first of all, that's one of the ways that we designed Blitzr. It introduces you to people and it pulls you out of it, right? So we help you start the conversation and we give you the parachute when you want to jump from the conversation.
True.
But even in person, or when you're on the Zoom events, when you're on other platforms, get to the type of environment you're comfortable in. Look, people talk about this all the time. I'm not a big group of people type of a person. I like small groups, or I like one-on-one conversations. So find the networking events that suit your personality, where you shine as a human being and as a person, not where you shine as a salesperson, but where you shine as a human being. So if that's one-on-one, if that's small groups, seek those out and then attend more of them and be an active participant in that type of event for you, because then you will build, I almost want to say, self-esteem around your networking capabilities, which will attract people to you to do business with you. So I think it's an important component to it, to seek the networking that suits you and who you are.
Great advice. Ted Lee, co-founder of Blitzr, thank you so much for joining us, and continued success with Blitzr.
Hey, thank you so much, Mike. Great to be here. Good to see you again.
Thank you, my friend.